Hello, I am Artemis_anime, and today I am reading Chapter 5 of Viridian by Silver Mist Anime Lover. Name, Connections. Please enjoy. Viridian looked around the office with an appreciative gaze. Namsa had a good taste. He'd been in here a few times before, by sneaking in through the windows to leave notes and coffee, but this was his first time in the room as a guest. It was painted in neutral colors with darker accents, giving the place a warm, cozy feel. The couch pushed up against the wall, looking well-loved and comfortable, while the rug had a few coffee spills. There were 6 desks and a separate door that led to Namsa's private office, which the man rarely used. "Nice place," he smirked beneath his mask. "Don't act like it's your first time in here," Namsa huffed. "I can't remember how many times you've broken into my office." 27, Viridian replied, offhandedly. Someone nearby whistled. "Sorry, didn't mean to startle ya." The man had light brown hair and yellow gold eyes. Viridian spied a monkey tail curling excitedly behind the man, likely his quirk. He looked a little closer. His hairline spread a little below what most people would consider normal, and his upper lip protruded very slightly, indicating a sharp canines. His shoes were custom-made, likely for the hand-like feet he supported. Yep, he had a monkey quirk. "I'm Tyrogoon, but you can call me Tyro," he grinned, showing off the fangs that Viridian had already suspected him of possessing. Namsa sighed. "Tyrogoon, this is Viridian. He's going to be working with us from now on, so please be nice." Viridian? As in the vigilante Viridian? Like the guy the entire country's been after for over half a year? Viridian leaned back against the wall with an easy smirk. "I see you've heard of me." "Oh, I like him," Tyrogoon grinned. "You're a tough guy to find," a feminine voice came from around the corner. "This is Aruki. She and Tyrogoon are part of my personal team. Ikabarbara, Samura, and Sansa are the 3 remaining members, but you'll meet them later today. I already know Sansa. He's the one with the cat quirk," Viridian said offhandedly as he studied the new arrival. Aruki was a very pretty woman. Her platinum and blonde hair appeared to be natural, if those icy blue eyes had anything to say about it. Likely of foreign descent, European most probably. Her build was slender, but she had a sharpness about her. She seemed hyper-aware of her surroundings, and were those hearing aids? No, those were sound filters. Custom made for people with very sensitive hearing due to their quirks. Super hearing then? Not necessarily enhanced senses all around, as she didn't seem to flinch at the copious amounts of lights in the room. Her ears were slightly bigger than the average person, but it wasn't overly noticeable. She fidgeted ever so slightly with her fingers as if she was trying not to snap them. More than likely, she had some sort of echolocation-based quirk then. "You can stop staring, you know," she huffed. Sorry. It's a habit of mine. I'm trying to figure out someone's quirk." "Oh?" Namsa raised an eyebrow. "And what do you think?" "Tyrogoon, yours is obviously a monkey quirk. And Aruki, yours is a bit harder. Likely something to do with sound. Perhaps something along the lines of echolocation. That's my best guess given the information I have, but I could be way off." The 3 were staring at him. "What?" Viridian asked. Their staring was unnerving. "I've said all of 2 sentences to you, and you figured out my quirk in less than 5 minutes?" she gasped. "You were right. My quirk is called Sonar." "You're a little too good at that," Namsa decided. "That's a very useful skill." "Why, thank you," Viridian grinned. "Quirk analysis is a hobby of mine." "I'd say it's a little more than just a hobby," Tyrogoon chimed in. "Perhaps you could help us analyze criminals out in the field, too," Namsa suggested. "Sure, if you want. It's nothing too extravagant, though. Like I said, it's a hobby, something I've been doing since I was a kid." "Alright, now here's what we know about our current case." As it turned out, bringing Viridian onto the team was more helpful than Namsa had originally thought. The man had a wicked fast mind and could piece together a case from the barest details. The man wasn't bothered by bodies either, as he saw when he brought Viridian to a fresh crime scene. The vigilante hadn't been fazed by the sight of blood, or the smell of a corpse. It was honestly a little worrying. His team worked well with the vigilante too. If Namasa thought Viridian's information network was good beforehand, well, let's just say he was glad the man was on their side. Another case closed. Viridian leaned back against the brick wall as he watched a few of the officers haul away a murderer. He'd been working with Namasa and his team for a couple weeks now, and he was finding himself enjoying the time he spent around the detective and his team. People had started to notice the vigilante helping out the police, and the detective wondered if the other man had seen the blogs lately. Still, not everyone was happy about Japan's most wanted vigilante suddenly being untouchable. As if he had been touchable beforehand, the man was far too good at slipping away. He tried his best to stay out of sight while on patrol, just in case. He urged the other man to patrol alongside Eraserhead. He'd made it abundantly clear that he was untouchable in Mufasu. Other areas of Japan could still try to bring him in. Not that Namasa thought they could. He'd heard from Toshinori himself that Viridian had given him the slip. That was no easy feat. If even All Might, the world's #1 hero, couldn't catch Viridian, then no wonder that Sugamine had allowed him to bring him onto the team. Tsukuuchi still wasn't entirely sure how Sugamine had managed that one and kept his badge, but he learned that his dog-headed superior had connections. I still have to file the paperwork, Namasa groaned, rubbing his neck. God, even the thought of paperwork made his hands cramp with phantom pains. Higher solve rate meant he had got paperwork faster. He wasn't sure if he was grateful to the vigilante or not. I mean, sucks for you, but I can grab you some coffee? He sent the vigilante a glare for a moment before sighing with a tired smile. I've still got the grounds you gave me last week. The offer's appreciated, though. You coming back with me? The vigilante had been on edge all day, and it was starting to make him edgy. He'd seen Eraserhead get like this once or twice. Called it the hero's gut. An instinct experienced heroes developed over the course of their career. Many countries even accepted it as a valid reason to grant things like search warrants and the like to the police. If Viridian had a bad gut feeling, then he was worried for him. It'd be safer for him to come back to the office with him. I would, but I'm going to patrol a bit before Eraserhead takes over. Something about today's got me on edge. Be careful, Masa. So it was a gut feeling. Damn. You too, Viridian, he sighed. Hopefully the man would be careful. Message me tonight so I know you aren't dead. Psh, as if I'd die so easily. Ye of little faith. Detective, what's the worst that could happen? Viridian laughed as he shoved his hands in his pocket and casually strolled away. There was only 2 hours before Eraserhead started his shift, but maybe the detective could call him in early? He couldn't help but feel like Viridian jinxed it. I fucked up. It wasn't something that Viridian liked to admit. He'd fucking jinxed himself. What's the worst thing that could happen? I asked. Well, apparently run into motherfucking Stain. He'd been trying to steer clear of the alleged hero killer. He knew how dangerous the guy was, but somehow Stain found him. Now, Viridian was hurt, badly, and left bleeding out in some back alleyway. He had no idea how, but he thought he might have managed to impress Stain. Enough to keep him alive at the very least. The hero killer didn't come back to finish him off, and Viridian was fairly certain that there was no permanent damage done, or at the least there would be none if he could manage to get out of this mess alive. But the hero killer had, accidentally, broken his phone when he'd sliced Viridian's side open, and he was losing way too much blood. He couldn't even stand, let alone contact Namasa. Eraserhead wouldn't start his shift for another half an hour, and by that point, he'd be dead. Shit. He struggled to keep his breathing calm. I can't afford to die here. He heard footsteps down the alleyway. For a moment he feared that Stain had changed his mind and returned to finish the job. Holy shit. He groaned when he felt something pressed painfully against his injury. He blinked a few times to clear his vision. It was a kid? No, he knew this guy. He was a young hero. Hawks? Yeah, hold still. You're hurt pretty badly. I'll fly you to a hospital. It'll be faster than an ambulance. He carefully scooped Viridian in his arms, keeping pressure on the wound. Hospitals were bad. Hospitals would unmask him and ruin his chance at UA, getting to Shigaraki. He wouldn't be able to make it to the USJ incident in time, and everything would be for nothing. The vigilante took a deep, shuddering breath as he made his decision. No hospital, he groaned out through bloodied teeth. The winged hero paused for a moment to look at him, incredulously. I can't just let you die! I can stitch myself up. Please? He looked up at the blonde, and he could see the youngster's eyes flicker in indecision. I need you to trust me. Why am I listening to you? He muttered to himself. Fine, where are we going? He spread his impressive wingspan and took to the skies. Viridian internally whooped at the feeling, though it was dampened by the blood loss. Take me to Doggy Beach, Viridian forced out between gasps of pain. Tell anyone where I live, and I'll pluck you, he added as an afterthought. That's a great way to thank the guy who's saving your life, Viridian huffed back, unamused. I'm kind of in a bit of pain here, if you hadn't noticed, so please excuse my rudeness, Viridian hissed. Fine. He tightened his grip as he altered course. If Viridian liked hopping across rooftops, then he loved flying. It was the most freeing experience he'd ever had. He smiled under his mask and couldn't help the light laughter that bubbled up in his chest, even if it hurt like a bitch. Takumi Kaito, better known as the pro hero Hawks, looked down with his own soft smile, though it turned into a concerned frown when he realized how much blood the vigilante had lost. He wasn't sure what to expect when he'd found the famed vigilante Viridian blending out in an alleyway. At first, he hadn't even believed it was Japan's most elusive shadow hero, as they called him online. But the hero killer himself had found Kaido and pointed him into the direction of the alley.
I'm not here for you, Hawks. I left Viridian in the alleyway back there. Don't let him die. He's got potential as a hero.
Before the winged man could do anything, the hero killer had vanished. If Kaigo was being honest, he hadn't believed Stain when he said he left Viridian bleeding out in an alley. But here he was, saving the stubborn jerk who refused to go to a hospital. Viridian was certainly an enigma. He was one of the most wanted men in all of Japan. The most wanted of all the vigilantes in the country. And yet, he was also among the most peaceful. If Kaigo didn't know any better, he'd assume the man was a hero, not a vigilante. And recently, all the heroes in Mufasu had gotten an alert from the Masu PD that Viridian was now working with them. It was the first in a long time. The fact that he was elusive enough that the cops thought it was better to pull him onto their team spoke volumes, because that hadn't happened since Quirks came about. The last time the cops had asked for help from Vigilante consistently enough that they formed a partnership was when the formation of the profession of hero. He snapped back to reality when he realized they'd arrived. Honestly, you live in a dump? Kaigo asked as he carefully landed where the vigilante specified. Beggars can't be choosers, you know, Viridian shot back. Not all of us are lucky enough to have families to go back to. He said the last part quietly, and Kaigo was sure he wasn't meant to hear it. Either way, he filed the information away for later. He followed the vigilante's instructions, navigating extremely specific pathway through the mountains of trash until he came into a clearing. There was a fire pit set a safe distance from the old beat-up camper. Damn, he really does live here. He went inside the camper and set the man down on the bed inside. The place was actually kind of nice considering everything, and there was likely salvage from the junkyard outside. Though he idly wondered if letting the man heal up with such a gaping wound was a good idea. It couldn't be sanitary. I've scrubbed the place with bleach. Don't look so apprehensive, Viridian scoffed, words a little slurred from blood loss. Sit down. Make yourself a cup of coffee. Yes, the stove works. I've got to get this stitched up. Kaigo was about to protest. Surely he didn't mean stitch himself up without any kind of pain medicine. but Viridian had already started stitching the wound closed, with the kind of nonchalance and precision that came from years of experience. The hero turned a little green despite himself. How was he doing that so easily? Kaigo hated stitches. I'm done, Viridian finally said. From what Kaigo could see, he was quite pale. Here, you need to stay hydrated. Kaigo handed him a bottle of water he found in the fridge, which actually worked, which was shocking. He hadn't expected electricity in a literal dump. Not gonna arrest me? Viridian cocked an eyebrow, or at least Kaigo assumed he was cocking an eyebrow. Masasu PD put out word you're on our side now. Yeah, something tells me Namasa wouldn't be too happy if you brought me all injured and tied up. Viridian chuckled. You mean Detective Suguuchi? Why was he on first name basis with the lead detective in Mufasu? Yup. Since I'm an informant on the Mufasu PD, they've stuck me with Namasa's team. I've been helping them on investigations and stuff, since they technically can't arrest me, as I've never used a quirk during my vigilante work. Viridian was smirking. Kaigo was sure of it. Still, the man never used his quirk. He had to be lying. Kaigo was pretty damn sure the vigilante had some kind of evasive quirk. He had to. So, why trust me with your humble abode? Kaigo changed the topic. Like I have a choice. Between you or the hospital, I'd sooner take my chances with you. The hospital would likely drug me to get my mask off. Most vigilantes aren't that protective about their identities, especially those who don't need to worry about being arrested. Most vigilantes don't plan to do something with their civilian persona. Oh? And why would being a vigilante impact that? Don't tell me you want to join the cops. No, I'm gonna become a goddamn hero, Viridian snapped back. Kaigo must have hit a nerve, because the man before him instantly shut his mouth, like he'd said something forbidden. Fuck, I hate pain. I should not have said that. Technically, you already are a hero, Shut up, Viridian glared, causing Kaigo to raise his hands in surrender. I'm not a hero. I'm a vigilante. There's a difference. Kaigo decided that tonight was not the night to argue the point. Look, you need to get some rest. I've got nowhere to be. Viridian gave a snort. The number 3 hero has nowhere to be. Somehow I find that hard to believe. You interest me. I can take a couple days off to myself, and the sidekicks handle things while I'm gone. Fine. Not like I'm in the state to kick you out anyways. Viridian waved his hands. Just don't go snooping or anything, and don't touch the mask. Viridian groaned as he woke up. The previous night's events slowly trickled into his mind as someone opened the door to his camper. His first instinct was to bolt upright, but a sharp pain had him immediately regretting that decision. Whoa! Stay down, would ya? You're badly hurt, Hawks reprimanded lightly. What are you, my mother? I'm the hero who saved your life, he replied irritably as he placed his hands on his hips. The plastic bag from the convenience store hung on his wrist. What's with the bag? You're out of food, Hawks replied, like it was the simplest thing in the world. Don't think I didn't notice how light you were when I carried you home 2 days ago. 2 days ago? Shit, he missed school. Fucker. Yeah, you've been out. Not that I can blame you, that is. Hawks shrugged as he casually restocked Viridian's fridge with more food than the vigilante had seen in his life. How am I supposed to eat that? Most people have 3 meals in a day. Most people also don't live in a dump, Viridian replied. By the way, do you have a phone on you? I need to make a call. Don't you have one? Hawks questioned, with a raised eyebrow. Viridian fished out the remains of his old phone, blood-stained and battered. It needed to be either salvaged or completely scrapped. He should be able to salvage it, though, if he could find the right pieces. Right. Just make it fast. Viridian took the hero's phone with a curious look. He'd always had to buy phones online to avoid quirkless discrimination and unfair price strikes, especially with electronics. so he'd always got the cheapest models. Hero phones were expensive and incredibly durable. They could find a signal just about anywhere. He marveled at it for a moment before typing in the Mufasu's PD number, as he didn't have Namusa or Eraserhead's number memorized. Mufasu Police Department, this is Suki. Hey, Suki, he greeted casually. It's Viridian. Think you could package me in to Namusa? There was a long pause before she sighed. Yeah, thanks. He waited exactly 2.5 rings before the detective himself picked up. Viridian? There was a clear worry in his voice that made the vigilante smile. Masa! How are you doing? You haven't been answering us. Are you okay? My phone was kinda trashed, but I'm alive. So I just wanted to let you know that. He felt Hawk's phone vibrate, indicating a new mission or message. Anyhow, I'm borrowing someone else's phone, so gotta go. I'm good though. Give me a few weeks and I'll be back out there in no time. He grinned. Love you, Masa. A few weeks? Reading just He hung up on the detective and handed the phone back to the baffled hero. Was that a good idea to hang up on the detective? I do it all the time, he grinned back. Masa's used to it by now. Right, Hawk sighed as he looked at whatever message had come through. My sidekicks can handle that, he shrugged as he pocketed the device. So, what do you want for dinner? I'll cook. You can cook? Viridian raised an impressed eyebrow. Hawks didn't dignify that with a response. Viridian sighed as he looked over at his new roommate. It'd been 10 days since he'd gotten injured, and his wound has been healing nicely thanks to Hawks. I bought you some more food, said Hawks, as he set down the bag of groceries. Seriously, what the hell did you eat before I came along? The skin and bones, and the fridge was empty. I was working on that issue. Mostly. Right. Hawks didn't look convinced. Viridian stared at him for a moment. For the last week or so, Hawks had been flitting in and out of his little compound, checking up on him and bringing him food, and even sometimes cooking him meals. Sometimes they talked, and other times they just sat there and enjoyed one another's company. It was so weird. What do you want? Viridian finally asked. It had been bugging him for the last few days. He'd expected something, but so far Hawks hadn't even seemed to have told anyone where he lived. Which was a good thing, because while the Mufasu PD liked him, that didn't mean the Hero Commission would think the same. Plus, there were other police forces that loved to fillet him. Tokyo PD came to mind. I don't really want anything from you. I suppose I just want to keep you doing what you've been doing. You do good. Hawks finally answered after a moment. He held his cup of coffee with both hands as he stared at the quickly setting sun. Come again? You're not like the other vigilantes. You genuinely want to help people. I think that's admirable. You're a hero in your own way. I just don't understand why you'd subject yourself to this. Hawks gestured to the mountains of trash surrounding them. You make it sound like I've got a choice. Viridian chuckled. Someone like you, why not become a legal hero? Viridian snorted. You think I'd be here if that was an option right now? He resolutely shoved away the memory of Eraserhead offering to sponsor him. It wasn't an option right now. It wasn't. Because everything was riding on him killing Shigaraki, and his best shot was UA. I'd vouch for you, you know? Viridian stared at the hero. If I were to fail or become a villain, your reputation would be in tatters. You're not that kind of man. You haven't even known me for a month, and you've never seen my face. How can you possibly know what kind of man I am? Viridian glared. I like to think I've got good instincts. Hawk smiled, as he leaned back against the old repaired lawn chair before the fire. The light of the flames danced in his eyes, and Viridian sighed. I can't believe I'm doing this. He reached up and loosened his mask, causing Hawk's eyes to widen in surprise. I can't take the hero's exam. He pulled the mask off. I'm only 15. The hero blinked in shock. He stared open-mouthed at the child before him. Now that is a shock! He laughed in disbelief. The most elusive vigilante in Japan is a 15-year-old kid! I'm gonna try out for UA's hero course in a few months. Izuku smiled, holding out his hand. Midoriya Izuku. Hawks smiled and took the pre-offered hand. Takumi Kaigo. You can just call me Kaigo. Then you can call me Izuku. So why is a kid living in the trash dump as a vigilante? Kaigo raised an eyebrow. Because it was strange when I thought you were an adult, but it sounds like quite worrisome knowing you're a kid. I'm not a kid, Izuku protested with a glare. He faltered when Kaigo raised an eyebrow. Okay, maybe I am technically a kid, but he sighed and ran the hand through his hair. I'm quirkless, okay? If you know anything about how we're treated in society, then you won't need any further explanation. Kaigo stared at Izuku for a moment before processing that the most wanted vigilante didn't even have a quirk. Damn, I was so sure about that stealth quirk, he muttered before speaking up. Why not stay with me, then? I can't. It's too dangerous, Izuku protested immediately. I've got a lot of very dangerous people after me as Viridian, and if word got out that you were helping a vigilante... Like I care about that, Kaigo rolled his eyes. Look, Izuku, I'm a hero, first and foremost, meaning I help people, and whether you admit it or not, you need some help. Okay, that was obviously not working the way Izuku needed it to work. He had to stay as far under the radar as Izuku as possibly until UA. He couldn't risk anything blowing this shot, and as awesome as it'd be to live with Kaigo, it only put the man in danger. He couldn't do that to the kid, because Kaigo was a kid when compared to Izuku's mental age. You're the number 3 hero, right? Izuku asked suddenly, causing Kaigo's eyebrows to furrow in confusion. Yes? Have you ever heard of a villain called All for One? Kaigo stiffened, and his entire demeanor changed. No longer was he so carefree and light. How the hell did you learn that name? Come on, surely you know that as Viridian has an extensive information network, I have my ways. Izuku answered with a mysterious smirk before returning to the more serious topic. I'm not after him, per se, but I am after his protege, Shigaraki Tomura. Listen, Izuku, vigilante or not, I can't let you go anywhere near All for One. You have no idea how dangerous he is. On the contrary, I know precisely how dangerous he is. That's why I can't risk staying with you. Once I'm on his radar, he'll use whatever means available to get to me, and people will notice if the number 3 hero gets a new roommate. Izuku, please, Kaigo. Izuku looked the hero in the eye. Please, just trust me. I know what I'm doing. There was a long pause. The two held a staring contest to test the other's will. Finally, Kaigo relented with a sigh. I'm still going to bring you food and make sure you're not killing yourself with this stupid vigilante shit. Izuku snorted. Careful, you make it sound like I'm a friend. Well, maybe you are. Huh? You don't have many friends, do you? I don't think I've ever had friends, Izuku replied dumbly. Even Shota and Hisashi were more like brothers than friends. Yeah, I haven't really had many either, he shrugged. Guess we're in the same boat then. Here, give me your phone. Why? So I can add my number. He paused. Oh, wait. Stain trashed yours, didn't he? Yeah, my vigilante phone is still out of commission, so I'll have to make do with my civilian phone. Izuku smirked, tossing it at the blonde. You live in a dump, but you own 2 phones? Correction. I live in a dump, so I fixed 2 phones and hacked them to make them untraceable. And free, he grinned. My vigilante phone is almost repaired, though. Finally found the stupid parts I needed. You're unbelievable. Kaigo shook his head with a fond smile. Izuku laid back against the sand to watch the stars blink into view. Aren't your sidekicks worried? You've been disappearing over here a lot lately. Nah, they're pretty used to me just up and vanishing for a bit. I'm pretty free-spirited. I'm going to get ready to go for my patrol. I wish he'd wait another week. Nope. Sorry, no can do. While Masa and Erasa know I'm not dead, I still need to let them know what happened. Besides, Namasa and the team's probably worried sick over me. I swear, if you end up bleeding out in one of those alleyways somewhere again, I'm going to stop bringing you coffee. No, not the coffee! Izuku gasped. Go on. They'll get more worried than they already are. Kaigo shook his head fondly, and Izuku shot him a grin as he tied on his mask. Have fun! Don't burn down my place while I'm gone. I won't, Kaigo promised. You have been missing for 10 days. Shota glared at Viridian the moment he came into view. He and Tsukuuchi and his team, and Tsugamne, had been growing increasingly concerned, especially when the vigilante had promised to text them and never did. He always texted them when he promised to. The phone call Namasa had received from the vigilante 2 days after hadn't done much to alleviate their worries. The vigilante had been a constant face around the police department since their partnership, and had always met up with Shota during the start of his patrol. So when the man just dropped off the map without warning, they'd assumed the worst. They'd been searching about every crevice they could find in an attempt to contact or track down the vigilante. The call had helped a bit, but not much, especially considering the fact that he wouldn't respond to any calls or messages thereafter. Sorry, I sort of got hurt and needed some recovery time. My phone was trashed in the incident. Viridian scratched the back of his head sheepishly, and Shota felt a spike of worry. How badly are we talking here? I ran into the hero killer Stain, and he may have left me bleeding out in an alleyway halfway across town with a busted phone. Shota felt himself pale. Show me. If he'd run into the hero killer, then it was a miracle he was still alive. That guy hardly ever left people live without some kind of permanent damage. What? The vigilante took a step back in surprise. The injury. I am not going to let you patrol if you're still in bad shape. I don't let my coworkers die. Aw, you do care, Viridian smirked. And Shota narrowed his eyes. Fine. Viridian lifted the edge of his shirt to show white bandages. With a sigh, the vigilante carefully unwrapped the injury, revealing a rather nasty gash that was stitched up. Happy now? Who did the stitches? Shota asked, as he helped the man rewrap the injury. It'd only been 10 days after all, and he couldn't help but notice several other scars on what little skin he could see. What is this, 20 questions? I stitched it up myself, like I always do, he huffed, and the hero sighed. No official medical treatment. Wonderful. Look, Viridian, you're part of our team now. That means you can legally get treated at hospitals without worry of being arrested. Shota pinched the bridge of his nose to stave off an oncoming headache as Viridian lowered his shirt. And if push comes to shove, I'll even call in recovery girl. You can't keep doing this. I'm more worried about being unmasked than arrested, he muttered. What is so important about your identity that you'd nearly die protecting it? Shota's gaze narrowed. Whether he wanted to admit it or not, the erasure hero had become rather fond of the immature vigilante. He was easy to talk to, and while mysterious, he was honest. It was refreshing for Shota, and he didn't often find people who appreciated his dry sense of humor. I'll tell you one day, Viridian promised. But right now, if I told you who I was, it'd cause more harm than good. He smirked. Listen to your elders. He chuckled, like he made a joke. Elders? Shota raised an eyebrow. For all you know, I could be older than you. For the information you've given us, you could be younger, too. Though Shota highly doubted that was the case. The man moved with far too much experience, and his eyes held far too many years. The world may never know, he smirked. I think that was a slogan for a candy at some point. Tootsie Pops, Shota grunted. Definitely older. My great-grandfather loved those things. At any rate, since we're working together now, I thought I'd be nice to patrol with you, instead of making you run around after me. How thoughtful of you, Shota twitched. Let me inform the other two about your situation, though. Have you all been worried about me? If we had, I wouldn't admit it. He fished out his phone, the black case fitting nicely in his hand.
Eraserhead added Tsugamne to Chaos Unlimited group chat. Eraserhead. I found Viridian. He's okay. Detective Holmes. Thank God. How is he? Is he hurt? Tsugamne. I'm glad to know he's okay. Eraserhead. Aww, you guys do care about me. Smiley face. Eraserhead. He's not hurt too badly, but if he steals my phone again, he might be. Detective Holmes. So what happened? Eraserhead. He ran into Stain, the hero killer. He's recovering nicely, but we'll be patrolling together until he's fully healed. It's a self-treated wound, but the stitches are patchable. Sagomni, Stain? Hand the phone to Viridian. I need information. Eraserhead, hold on. He's fiddling with a flip phone? I thought those died out centuries ago. Viridian Chaos. Ha! I fixed it! Viridian Chaos. Wait, fixed? www. Damn it! No! The W key is broken. GAG.
Seriously, why do you have a flip phone? I didn't even know those still existed. Shota stared at the small grayish device in the vigilante's hand. It looked like it'd seen better days, and even had welding marks on the back. Because they're durable as hell, and untraceable. Besides, it's what I found in the trash, so it was free. I'm not complaining. You got your phone from the trash? Why? Shota blanked. Was he one of those weirdos who went dumpster diving to find useful items? Strange. Oh shush, you're just jealous because I don't have a phone bill. I assure you, Viridian, I am not jealous.
He's totally jealous that I can fix my phone up and not pay a phone bill. Eraserhead. Would you just let it drop? Viridian Chaos. Winky face. Nope. Detective Holmes. I'm lost. Eraserhead. Good. Viridian Chaos. We're all lost to the darkest corners of our deepest fears, lest we learn to stand and fight in our most desperate hour. Detective Holmes. That was surprisingly deep. Viridian Chaos. An old friend told me that once. I think he was drunk.
Shota sighed. Are we going on patrol or not?
Viridian Chaos. Gotta go patrol now. Oh, and that info's honestly, he's got some pretty serious ideas, so I'll let you know about them in person. I didn't really get a good gauge on his quirk. He definitely has one though. It's something to do with paralysis. I didn't see what he did. He's so fast, but I found myself unable to move for a short period of time. I recommend that nobody patrol alone until we're sure he's left town. Viridian Chaos. Fuck, I hate the fact that this stupid cube is broken. Smoothie. Noted. I'll put out word for the heroes. Thank you, Viridian. I'm glad you're still with us. Detective Holmes. Seriously, first you got shot twice, and now you've gotten yourself stabbed by a man who's known for murdering heroes. I'm starting to think that maybe you're a trouble magnet. Viridian Chaos. Maybe I am. That would explain a few things. Smoothie. Ryan, your penchant for finding trouble is both invaluable and dangerous. For this reason, I'm going to ask Eraserhead to stick by you as often as possible. Eraserhead. I'll make no promises. He's pretty damn slippery if he wants to be.
You're just peeved because you couldn't catch me, Viridian smirked. Either way, we'll be working together a lot from this point forward, Shota huffed, though he was actually rather pleased. It would put his mind at ease to be able to keep an eye on the vigilante during patrols. Viridian went to put his phone back in his pocket, but a nearby pigeon nearly clipped his ears, causing the man to drop his mobile device. Fucking bird, he muttered as he bent down to pick it up. A slip of paper fell out from one of his many hidden pockets. Shota picked the paper up that had landed by his feet. It looked like a business card. It was made of good quality paper with black and silver letters. Psyche Kai. Shota paled. Viridian, where did you get this card? The vigilante looked up, puzzled, as he held out his hand for said card. Oh, Overhaul gave it to me back when I first met him a few months back. During that quirk-destroying drug bust? He replied nonchalantly. Have you any idea how dangerous this man is? I know quite well, which is why I played nice and took the business card. He offered me a position working for him, which I politely declined. He instead offered me a partnership should I ever want it, and of course I'm not stupid enough to dip my toes in that kind of web. I know my limits. Thanks. Well, at least you know that much. Shota let the topic drop thereafter. He'd bring it up to Sagomine and Tsukauchi later, but for now, they had a patrol to do. And if he was being honest, the Erasure hero was interested to see how the infamous Viridian worked. He'd always found trouble before the others heroes, and nobody had ever actually seen him in action. Most of the work he'd been doing for Tsukauchi has been information gathering and whatnot. Nobody's actually seen him fight yet. The image of the vigilante flitting across the beams of the warehouse like a living shadow came to mind. You coming or what? Viridian asked as he turned from Shota's route. The patrol ring is this way. Nuh-uh. If you're gonna make me stay with you on patrol, then we're gonna take my patrol route, not yours. Why do I feel like I'm gonna regret this? Because you have never patrolled here. Viridian was smirking. Shota knew it. But the other man's words were confusing him. Shota had patrolled nearly all of Mufasu and the surrounding territories. The only place he wasn't able to consistently patrol was... You don't mean the south side? His eyes widened. What, is the brave hero afraid of a little ghost town? The vigilante teased. I just don't see how patrolling that area is logical, Shota twitched. It's very poor and there isn't much crime. The few times I have patrolled there turned up nothing. Sometimes I even doubt there are people up there. Oh, believe me, there are. There is a strange gleam to Viridian's eyes. I patrol the south side regularly. That's why you never see any crime. I stop it before it starts. It's actually quite a nasty piece of Mufasu. No other heroes bother with it, so people typically do as they please. Shota sighed as he made to follow after the vigilante. Today's going to be a long shift.
Cult of Viridian. Chat. Day A Fanime Boy is online. Day A Fanime Boy. Has anyone seen Viridian lately? He's been MIA for a couple of weeks. Moldy Broccoli. I've been worried too. Gargana in a dress. I'm sure he's fine. No scurtily. Rumors say he got hurt and is recovering. I have no name. I saw him out on patrol again. He's fine. He's patrolling with a Eraserhead though. Dragon in a dress. With who? Day A Fanime Boy. I think he's some underground hero. No scurtily. Eraserhead is a top-ranked underground pro hero. He's from Mufasu. Nobody really knows much about him because he's very private and hates the press. I've heard rumors that he's good with vigilantes, so maybe that's why he's with Viridian. Day A Fanime Boy. I'm just glad Viridian's okay. Smiley face. I was really worried. Barbie is a whore. My dad's a cop. I overheard him saying something about Viridian being attacked by Stain. I don't know if it's true, but if it is, I'm just glad he's alright. Shake his eye. You mean the hero killer? Shocked face. Barbie is a whore. That's just what I've heard. I don't know if it's true though. Day A Fanime Boy. I'm gonna go, guys. My bro's gonna head to bed early for a test tomorrow. He's aiming for UA. Wish him luck. Dragon in a dress. Isn't the entrance exam next month? Day A Fanime Boy. Yeah, he's working really hard to get in. I know he can do it. He's so cool. The cake is a lie. I wish him luck then. Deku is online. Day A Fanime Boy. New person? Cake is a lie. Welcome back, Deku. Haven't seen you on here for a while. Deku. I guess it's been a year or so, hasn't it? No scurtily. Deku's been a part of this chat room for years. She's a huge hero fan and knows all about everything all about them. Though she vanished suddenly about 9 months ago. Barbie is a whore. Were you pregnant? Deku. What? No, I'm a guy. Cake is a lie. So your girlfriend then? Deku. Both of you, I could land a girlfriend. I could be gay for all you know. Demonic gay microwave. Shock face. That wasn't a no. Deku. Bullying at school has got really bad. I've been through some serious life changes. But anyways, I just wanted to check in and let you know that I'm still alive, I think. And I'm still kicking ass. Day A Fanime Boy. Have you heard about Viridian? Dragon in a dress. Who hasn't heard about Viridian? Moldy Broccoli. Well, I mean, we've kind of redone the chat a bit, so... Deku. Why is the chat named Cult of Viridian? Confused emoji. Moldy Broccoli. Because Viridian's the best hero ever, and he will prevail. Deku. Okay, then. You all won't see me on much. I'm trying for UA. Wish me luck. Day A Fanime Boy. Oh, if you see my bro, say hi. He's got spiky red hair. Just dye it. And sharp-toothed smile. You can't miss him. Deku. Will do. Tell him to look out for a blanket with freckles and green hair. No scurtily. Red and green. You two will be like a walking Christmas ad. Deku. I'm logging out now. Bye. Deku has logged out.
Izuku stared at the computer screen as Kaigo chuckled behind him. Oh, that's great. They idolize you. I really hadn't expected that. He opened a new tab and started typing in his vigilante name. He couldn't be that popular, right? Wrong. He was, oh, so wrong. Kaigo was bursting out, his gut laughing so hard. You really have no idea, do you? People love you, Azu. When you go pro, you'll already have a following. I think I should be scared. Oh no. Kaigo grinned. Be terrified. Sorry about updating so late. This is chapter 5 of Viridian by Silver Mist Anime Lover, Connections. I hope you all enjoyed. Sorry about the birds in the background. Have a good day.